Hi everybody, welcome back to Cooking with Lily and Generoso. I'm Lily.
I'm Generoso, and this is Oriana.
Hello.
Well, she's our special guest today.
Because we're going to need a lot of extra help with making Banh lauk. We're going to make the version that is wrapped in banana leaf, so it's going to be a lot of fun to make and a lot of fun to eat as well, because we have to wrap everything up and then we also have to unwrap it before we can eat it as well.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it'll be good.
I bet it is.
Yes, it'll be much easier than some of the other banana leaf wrap stuff. Like, it'll be easier than Banh, which we made a couple months ago, and it's probably easier than Blanching as well, which was something I made for Lunar New Year, and we did not feature on this because it was really a lot of work.
It was an ungodly amount of work.
So, shall we look at the ingredients?
Should we?
Yes. So we have a pound of shrimp, and we will devein and chop this. We have a loin of pork. You could also use pork belly for the filling. I chose to use pork loin because, after all, I don't think you necessarily need both pork belly and shrimp because that's super duper fatty.
That's crazy.
Then we have red onion. We have ginger. We have some green onion. We have 2 limes that we're going to use for fish sauce, which we're going to use for dipping. And then we have a whole line of different dry goods. So we have some black pepper, some sea salt. We have our friend fish sauce. We have tapioca flour. You're wondering at this point, why does this wrapper look very American? It's because I can't find the Thai brand that has the elephant, and I don't know why. I think it's mostly because I go to the wrong grocery stores. But we found it still. It's the same thing. It's tapioca flour. It's sometimes also called this tapioca starch, and that's going to be the entirety of our whole dough, which will be delicious. We have some oyster sauce, which is going to be for the actual filling. We have some chicken broth that's going to be used for the dough, some soy sauce, which is going to be used for the filling, and we have our French sugar, which will be used for both the fish sauce and also for the filling as well. And I forgot to say, we have banana leaf.
Oh yes, that's very important.
Which is nice and fresh. And so this is going to be a lot of prep, but we'll definitely figure it out and we'll get a lot of it done. So we'll see you very shortly when we're ready to start preparing them. Welcome back. We've done a lot of prep.
Oh my!
So, 1, I have water boiling on the stove. I've cut my banana leaf into kind of like 3.5 to 5 inches. It's not exactly precise. It doesn't need to be. And we are going to very quickly dip them in the boiling water and then shock them in this bowl of ice water.
Very cool.
Outside of that, we've very finely chopped up the pork, and I've put green onion, red onion, and ground up ginger as well on it. And I've also marinated the shrimp with some salt and pepper and red onion. The one other final touch for the marinade is just taking some fish sauce and pouring it on top of the actual pork itself.
Wow, I've never seen you pour fish sauce directly on things.
Yes.
Usually
Sometimes
make it with
marinades.
sauce. Okay.
Yeah. So now we are ready to just soften up our banana leaves. So just going to take the lid off of that. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit so I don't burn myself.
Please don't.
And then just do a quick dip.
That's quick. So what is the purpose? Just for softening?
Yeah,
correct?
just to soften it, and then just put it right into the cold water bath.
I know sometimes banana leaves get this kind of white residue attached to them.
Yeah.
Have you cleaned that off?
I have not, because I actually am putting it in this boiling water.
Excellent. So it does take care of that as well.
Yeah. I'll still give this a nice wipe down, though, because banana leaf does get a little bit dirty.
I appreciate that.
So I'm going to continue and do this to soften up all the banana leaves until we're done, and then the next thing is that we're going to make the dough to make our Banh lauk. So we'll see you very soon. Finished blanching all of our banana leaves. They're sitting in nice and cold water now. And now we've turned on our frying pan. I'm going to coat the bottom very generously with oil. And we're going to fry up all of our meat for the filling.
Yes.
So what we're going to do first is we're going to fry up the pork first, because it takes a lot longer to cook. Shrimp normally doesn't take nearly as long because it's all just fat.
Fat! Very good.
I want to get all of this delicious onion down there and ginger. And at this point in time, we're going to take our friend oyster sauce, put in about 1.5 tablespoons.
Wow.
Does it just make it sweet? Is that what it does?
Yes, and it also gives it a nice color. take my giant chopsticks and mix it up.
Yes. She does not use the spatula.
Ooh.
Like the Italian in the home.
And then I'm also going to take some soy sauce as well. About another tablespoon and a half. And so we're going to fry this until the edges are all a little bit brown, and then we'll add in the shrimp. So we'll see you when we're ready to add in the shrimp, and then we add a special touch to this to make it taste extra good. Alright, so the pork has cooked up, and Oriana has kindly helped stir this up while I start to prepare the tapioca flour. And now we'll add in the shrimp. Ooh.
Very nice.
I'm going to mix the shrimp in. We'll start to cook really quickly. Now we're going to let this cook until the shrimp is nice and pink on the outside. So we'll see you very shortly, and then we'll add an extra ingredient to it to kind of tighten up the entire mix. We'll see. So our shrimp is getting nice and pink. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this on to let the water actually cook off. You hear the steam vent on so that the fire alarm doesn't go off in our tiny apartment. And now I'm going to put and measure out our tapioca flour to start making the dough, because we're finally at that stage. Yay! So I'm going to do 4 cups tapioca flour. So this is 1.
I think that bag might be 4 cups.
I think so too. 2. 3. I think this is right about 4. It's a little... Right? 4. And next we're going to add in some chicken broth. So I'm going to add 1 cup and about a little over a half. I'm going to add 1 cup of water.
Cold water?
Cold water. And another half cup of water.
Okay.
Added a little bit more water just for good measure, because I didn't measure that flour so accurately. What we're going to do now is, again, the heat's not on yet, but what I'm going to do is I want to mix up the tapioca starch and let it dissolve in the water and chicken broth mix. Give that a nice stir. It's going to stick to the bottom of the pan. You want to try to get that off of the bottom of the pan, because the moment we turn on the heat, that will end up burning. So go ahead and take your time with this part before you turn on the heat to make sure that the tapioca flour is not stuck to the bottom. So I'll keep on mixing this up, and we're going to keep letting this filling dry out, and we'll see you very soon when we're getting ready to make the dough. Alright, so all of the liquid from the pork and shrimp filling has dried up, and now it's time for some sugar to add a little bit of caramelization onto the pork.
Fantastic.
And the shrimp. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of sugar. And simultaneously, all of the tapioca starch is mixed down there.
You still haven't put it on flame yet, right?
I still have not. And so I'm just going to add about a teaspoon of salt to this.
This is what's great about having help. Oriana instinctively has grabbed the giant chopsticks. Thank you, Oriana.
Not a problem. Just gonna give it another mix. Alright, and while Oriana's taking care of the caramelization over there, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat onto this tapioca flour. I'm gonna put it probably, that's at high right now. I'm gonna put it at medium just to make sure that we don't burn at the bottom, because you don't want to burn the starch, because it will be a mess to clean up.
We found out last night.
So I'm just going to vigorously continue stirring this until this starts to get somewhat thick. And essentially, I'm going to actually take it off early from the stove. You want this to be somewhat of a sticky paste. very much like, I'm trying to think of it, a close American consistency. Maybe like bread dough is the final kind of consistency you want, like a very yeasty type of bread. But I'm gonna take it off the flame when it gets about halfway there, and then continue stirring until the residual heat gets us to that texture. So keep on stirring, and we'll see you probably in about 10-15 minutes. Oriana has been taking over the tapioca starch mix.
It's definitely picking it up.
Yes, and at this point it's definitely pretty thick, so we're going to go ahead and shut the heat completely off. And now we're going to just do the rest of the stirring with residual heat. We're going to keep on doing this until this all tightens up into one nice lump of paste, and we'll see you very shortly. Alright, so all three of us have taken passes at tightening up this dough, and Jean was the one who had to do the final job because this stuff is tough to deal with. It's definitely like the consistency of almost like bubble gum.
I would say Old Elmer's glue.
Yeah, maybe Old Elmer's glue. It's definitely not appetizing looking, but I promise it's going to be good.
Sure.
So at this point in time, we're going to take one big spoonful of it. Again, it's going to fight you a little bit. Just be kind of patient. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a tiny drizzle of oil on the banana leaf. Just use your fingers to kind of roll it around. And using your fingers will help you also kind of spread out the dough itself. That was really only a half spoon on my part. So this is almost all now. What you're going to do is just take your fingers, spread it out into a rectangle as much as you can. Again, this is not a perfect science. Alright, at this point in time, you get a spoonful of the dumpling mix. Which is very hot, so be a little bit careful when you're working with it. I'm going to give a little bit more for good measure because I like nice full dumplings. I'm going to grab a tiny bit more dough. Again, it's going to fight you a little bit. It's okay. Just going to spread it across the top of the meat. Grab a tiny bit more. Just want to make sure that all the filling gets nice and covered up. So what you can do is you can also kind of raise the edges a little bit of your rectangle. Stretch it over.
Wow. How is it now to handle with the oil?
It's actually somewhat easier. Just rolling that in. Dunk, dunk, dunk. This is a little bit of a bigger dumpling. You probably want to make them like no bigger than this. You could definitely make them on the smaller side, but they're definitely a little harder to make. You see that there's this long vein of the banana leaf. I'm going to cut that off just to make this easier to fold. I'm going to fold this up.
Oh, well, the banana leaf is much more malleable.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And I'm going to place this on the fold side down until I grab a strip of banana leaf.
This is nuts. So you're using the banana leaf in place of string like you would with
the Blanching.
The Blanching, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so just to tighten it up a little bit. It doesn't need to be super duper tight.
That's cool.
So we'll keep on wrapping all of these, and meanwhile I've actually already started the steamer and it's already steaming. So what we can do is, again, we have the banana strip leaf on there, but we still want to put this fold side down anyway and start your steaming. Put the lid on it. We'll keep on rolling and steaming. So we'll see you soon. Alright, so we've taken out our first batch of bento lauk from the steamer. And I am going to unravel one on this plate. And so the inside is actually completely transparent. With the oil, you'll be able to just pull that right off. And ta-da! That's your bento lauk. What you can do is just, again, you just take your fork and you should be able to slide your dumpling right off of the banana leaf. Super easy. I've also made some fish sauce that you can serve this with. Again, this is 1 part lime juice to 1 part fish sauce to 1 part water to 1 part sugar, and just all mixed up. And so we'll let this cool off for a little bit, and then we're just going to eat it. So I hope your bumble comes out well, and enjoy.